Isaiah 14 is one of the most prevalent verses in the Bible. It's the cornerstone for the foundation of Christianity and the holiday known as Christmas. Or is it? Let's take a comprehensive look at it. So let's start in the book of Matthew in the 21st chapter. It states that an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph and told him that Mary was pregnant and the child would be a savior to the people. And then the next verse goes on to say that no, all this was done that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying, Behold, a virgin shall be with child, and shall bring forth a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel, which being interpreted is God with us. Which leads us to this verse here. Therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. You see, the problem with this is that this verse is mistranslated, and it's purposely being mistranslated so they can fit the Christian narrative. Okay, so this is a better rendering of the verse with the Hebrew beside it. All right, it says, Therefore the Lord shall give you a sign. Behold, the young woman shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. All right, so over up, you see it doesn't say a virgin, it says the young woman. And the is a definite article letting you know that it's a specific woman and not somebody that's randomly supposed to be chosen generation years later. Also, it doesn't say virgin, it says young woman. Because in the Hebrew, this word right here, this is the Alma or Ha Alma, which means young woman, not virgin. This is Exodus 22, verse 14, with the use of the word virgin. It says, And if a man entice a virgin that is not betrothed and lie with her, he shall surely pay a dowry for her to be his wife. All right, so this word here, batula, is the word for virgin. So once again, the Hebrew word for virgin is batula. But in Isaiah 14, it's a young woman. Young woman is Alma. A young man is Alim. You can't open up a book and start in the middle of a passage and just make a determination of what that chapter is based off that one passage alone. You have to start at the beginning of the chapter in order to get a good summary of that chapter. And so that's what we're going to do for Isaiah. So starting at verse 1, right? And it came to pass in the days of Ahaz, the son of Jotham, the son of Uzziah, king of Judah, that Rezin, the king of Aram, and Pekah, the son of Remaliah, king of Israel, went up to Jerusalem to war against it, but could not prevail against it. So you have Pekah and Rezin who have conspired together to go to war against Jerusalem. And the Lord has sent Isaiah to King Ahaz, who is the king of Jerusalem at the time, for reassurance. And the Lord spoke again unto Ahaz, saying, Ask thee a sign of the Lord thy God, ask it either in the depth or in the height above. Now, initially, King Ahaz, he declined for a sign, but then Isaiah himself interjected, and that's what leads us into verse 14. But verse 14 is only half of the prophecy. 15 and 16 reveals the other half. Curd and honey shall he eat when he know to refuse the evil and choose the good. Yeah, before the child shall know to refuse the evil and choose the good, the land whose two kings thou hast a horror of shall be forsaken. So who is this child is being spoken of in chapter 7, verse 14? The answer is in chapter 8. And the Lord said unto me, Take thee a great tablet and write upon it in the common script, the spoil spreadeth, the prey hasten, or Mahar Sha'al HaShabaz. Alright, so we still in chapter 8, verse 3. And I went into the prophetess, and she conceived and bore a son. Then said the Lord unto me, Call his name Mahar Shalal HaShabaz. For before the child shall have knowledge to cry, my father and my mother, The riches of Damascus and the spoil of Samaria shall be carried away before the king of Assyria. So we see right here in verse 3 that the same name of Isaiah's son is the same inscription that's written on the tablet in verse 1 of chapter 8. All right? And the name Mahal Shalal HaShabazz means that the spoil speedeth and the prey hasten, which correlates with chapter 7, the other half of the prophecy that said that the kings of Damascus and Aram would be forsaken before the child could choose good and refuse evil. And so as you can see, a part of Isaiah's child name is Shaul, which means spoil or plunder, quick, hasten. Also, Shaul also means to draw out, as in a sword. Also, a newborn child. Isaiah's newborn child, Shaul. So here we have Isaiah doubling down on his claim in chapter 8, verse 18. Behold, I and the children whom the Lord hath given me shall be for signs and for wonders in Israel from the Lord of hosts who dwell in Mount Zion. Okay, so once again, Isaiah's son is the child of promise from chapter 7, verse 14. Mahal Shaul HaShabazz, right? So let's take a look at a part of his name, HaShabazz here. The sheen, the glyphic for the sheen is a crown. Bait here. The glyphic for the bait is a house, represents a house. And the Zion, the glyphic for that is a resemblance of a sword. So basically what that name means is that a royal house will be plundered by the sword. And how do we know that? Because right down in verse 4 here of chapter 8, it says that before the child shall have knowledge to cry, my mother and my father, the riches of Damascus and the spoil of Samaria shall be carried away before the king of Assyria. And that was done by the sword. All right, so let's revisit chapter 7, verse 16, the other half of the prophecy, where it says, yeah, before the child shall know to refuse the evil and choose the good, the land whose 2 kings thou hast a horror of shall be forsaken. Now, who is those 2 kings? We're talking about Rezin and Pekah. Rezin, the king of Aram, and Pekah, the king of Israel. So let's see what this part of the prophecy was fulfilled. 2 Kings chapter 15, verse 30 shows the demise of Pekah. And Hosea, the son of Allah, made a conspiracy against Pekah, the son of Remaliah, and smote him and slew him and reigned in his stead in the 20th year of Jotham, the son of Uzziah. 2 Kings chapter 16, verse 9 speaks of Rezin. Ahaz ended up sending gold to the king of Assyria in exchange for military assistance. And the king of Assyria hearkened to him, and the king of Assyria went up against Damascus and took it and carried the people of it captive to Kir and slew Rezin. All right, so in closing, we find that it wasn't a virgin birth. The Hebrew text doesn't contain the word virgin, but instead it has the word Alma in it, which means a young woman. The Hebrew word for virgin is Batula, okay? Number 2, the child in the prophecy was going to be born during Ahaz's time as a sign during Aram and Israel's campaign against Jerusalem. And 3, the child is the son of Isaiah himself, not some child that was going to be born a few generations later, but actually during the time of Ahaz, okay? So I hope that this post gives you clarity and understanding and the wisdom to find the truth, in which I know a lot of people do search for.